Probably want a bus map or something like that, which would show the bus routes. So I wasn't very clear what information it would have, because that would depend on the data I collect. But then I had an idea of what kind of information I was looking for. So what I needed a map of the city, of the entire city for me to understand the geography. Then I needed to figure out which of the roads had buses going on them, because not all the roads in the map have any sort of bus. So I needed to figure out which are the bus route roads and figure out some sort of frequency of which are the main roads for buses, which are the minor roads for the buses. And then the location of bus stops to actually know where the bus stops on the road. So I went one by one looking for information. So the easiest thing for me to do was personal information. So I kept riding the buses. Whenever I would have free time, I would jump on a random bus number, which had not gone before. And I would ride it to see where it goes. And in the whole process, I would jot down my journeys on paper and figure out where are all these buses going and make a diagram one by one. It was a very slow process, but it was very interesting as well. I would learn a lot about the city. And in the same time, I started building this map of the city in a very simple way. There's nothing complex about this. I just started I divided the whole city into grids and junctions and started connecting the dots on where the buses go. And soon I realized that it was getting out of hand. I wasn't able to handle all the information I was getting. There were just too many bus routes. The city was too big, and it wasn't really a one-man job. And this was done at a time in 2005. So you don't have Google Maps at that time yet. You only had very bad city maps available online. So then I needed some good city map as well, because I found out that there are a lot of roads which I don't know about in the city, which are not there in the paper maps. And what I did then is I needed a good map. So where do I go for a map of the city? And so that's what took me to the Chennai Corporation, the municipal corporation. And I just went there like a school kid, and I found out there's a mapping department there, a town planning department, and I just walked in and I told them I'm a student and I'm doing this project on collecting bus route information, and I would like a map of the city. And at first they're all suspicious, because who's this guy, and nobody ever comes here looking for information like this. But once you show your engineering ID card and tell you're a student, then that opens up a lot of doors. So I gained the trust of the person there in the department, and he would give me the corporation maps of the city for every zone, every ward. And I would take it back home, and I would start digitizing it and making my own map of the city. And this, again, was a huge process. I was doing it alone because I found it fun. And in the whole process, I also used a platform called the OpenStreetMap project. Somebody else had mentioned that. And essentially what I was doing was I was digitizing all these paper maps that the corporation had into this platform. So right now it's much more detailed. At that time I was laying only the main roads and the layout of the city. And over the course of 3 months I ended up creating a map of the city using this platform. And this became an open mapping platform. So at that time even Google Maps didn't have so much of detail. Whereas because I was getting information from the corporation with each road names, it was much more accurate than what Google had. And this was a free map. It was open source, it's openly licensed, which anybody else can use. So I built a base map of the city like this to figure out where all these roads are. And then I would also get a list from the corporation on which are the bus route roads and mark them separately on the OpenStreetMap map. So that was done. Now I had a city map, as well as I had figured out which are the bus route roads. And then I figured out that I could not do this alone. There was just too many routes. And that's when I thought of crowdsourcing this effort. So I could only manage a certain amount of bus routes because physically that's how much I can travel. But somebody else in some other part of the city has their own information because they have traveled in another set of routes as well. So I thought that what if there was a platform where everyone could come here and start mapping their own bus routes. And if we could all collect that together, then we would have the entire route map of the bus system in Chennai. And I'm not a technology person. I don't know how to code or build websites or any of that sort. I work on graphic stuff, I can draw. But I got an opportunity at some event just like this where there were interested people, and I just spoke about this idea that why don't we build a platform like this? And after that, a couple of students met me outside and said that this is like really simple to build and we can do it for you. So we just got together, we sent a couple of emails and exchanged ideas on how this platform would work. And these were amazing students from one of those engineering colleges in Chennai. He was just 17 years old. And he built a prototype of this website where you could easily map any bus route on the map, on the OpenStreetMap. And he built the prototype in a week. He sent it to me, and it worked just like how we had planned. And we were all excited. So we just shared the link on Twitter, Facebook, and told people that we have built this thing. If you want to map, the bus routes, you can also start mapping bus routes. And yeah, that's what happened. We launched this site called busroutes.in. Some of you might have heard of it. And this was done in 2007. And what we did is we went to the bus agency site, the MTC website, and we gathered information about each bus route, the bus number as well as the bus stops. But there was no map information available. And we were essentially building this platform to convert it into a map. So it was quite simple. All the platform would do is, in the beginning, you would get all these stops, and somebody can click on the stop and click on the map. And we would read the position, and next time you come to the route, you would have a point there. That's all it was. It was very simple. And we just spread the word on social networking, and within 4 days, we had 85% of the 2,500 stops geo-referenced. And for the first time ever, there was online bus information for any city in India. And this was done completely free. There was no cost involved at all. Everyone put their free time into it, and we did it because we thought it was possible. And this became a great example of what can be done using open source technology, free technology, and only if you have some sort of desire to do something. So this was very exciting for us because then so many people started sharing this, and it was exciting for everyone else as well in the city that there was something like this available, a resource for finding bus routes. And so this was not all. After this, we figured out what can we do with this information as well. So this data we collected helped in making a lot of other digital artifacts. One was this particular map of the public transport density in Chennai. So this used the same data that we collected, and we essentially created a new map which highlighted the bus route roads in different colors based on their frequency of buses, as well as a distance buffer between each road to figure out how much of area was actually covered by the bus route network. And this created very useful insights. Like you would find gaps, neighborhoods like this, which are very far away from bus route roads. That's one. This is another one, where the roads inside are very small, so there's no buses which actually go inside. And later, this map was actually used by Anna University to figure out a feeder bus system to find out which are the places where buses need to go. And this was helpful because we had done it long back and we had just opened it and released it online for free. So this was one such artifact that was made. Another one was this. So this was a much better bus map that was made with the data we collected. And this was again possible because we had all this data now. And there was so many different ways to visualize this data, to figure out patterns in the bus movement, bus numbering scheme, night buses versus day buses, things like this. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And much more important than doing all this is to remain open at all times and to also close the feedback loop. So we did go to the bus agencies back with our work, and we told them, we have found out problems in your data set, and there are so many things for you to fix. And they were actually quite happy that somebody had done so much of work on it, because the bus agency really does not have the technical expertise or the resources to get into this sort of work. And it relies on citizens to actually do something and help them out. And this is where we sort of come in with technology, with some sort of skill to bridge the gap between citizen and the government. And yeah, we went to the bus agency as well, then we went to the railway authority as well. We had made a bus cum rail map, and it was very interesting to see, because we had hopes. We would hope that the bus agency would actually use these maps and take it ahead. But there are so many administrative challenges and bureaucracy where these things don't happen that way. But these are great experiences to learn and to also improve your own work. And overall, all this taught all of us involved a lot of things about the government, about services, about our own city, our own place, and even about technology, how it can actually result in common benefit. And the last thing is to be open. So everything that we had done was under an open license. Nothing was copyright, because we never planned at any point to commercialize any of this work. We wanted this to be for the public, and we ensured that all these things were made like that. The source code of all the technologies were openly available. And this also ensured that our work did not die off, that just because we stopped doing this, this ended right there. So the result of this is that now there's a project in Bombay called the Chalo Bus project, which essentially takes our own work and uses it for Mumbai. And also Transparent Chennai as well. There's some of you here who have been inspired by the busroutes.in project and are working on the next step for that. So this essentially was my journey with the public transport over there, what we did and how we use technology. And this is not something special. This is not something I had technical skills to do. But probably the important things to note, to realize is we just need to push ourselves to ask the right questions, to not be afraid of going to people, sharing ideas, and trying to work on solutions, and also not be scared to fail. Because we failed a lot of times along this thing. But if we had stopped at any point, then maybe we wouldn't have got this far. So yeah, that's my journey. And after this, I'd like to invite Kaustubh, who would generally talk about the next program and what we'll be doing after this. So any questions on the whole thing? I'm open to answering anything.
Anything like that is existing for Hyderabad?
Not that I know of. Okay, yeah, and Harsha has been a follower of the things you've been doing since a long time, and he's always been, at least over the internet, we have known each other for a long time, and he's been doing similar work in Vijayawada, in Hyderabad, and he's done a map of buses in Hyderabad as well, which is very beautiful, which all of you should see. So I think he'll share it with you as well. And so yeah, this is the result. You just need to plant a seed, and it's amazing to see all the different sort of work which sprouts out of one effort. And to see that these things don't die. That right now, I haven't spent time on this for the past 6 years, but so many things have come out of this project, and it's spread to so many more places than I could have imagined. Yeah. Talking about the busroutes.in website, it gets close to 2 lakh hits a month. Now, I don't know who uses it. I don't know what they're using it for, because I still think practically there are difficulties in this platform. It has no mention of schedules. We still haven't managed to get any scheduling information of frequency of buses, that we might show that a bus is available, but it might come only once a day. So that's still not there. No. So me and the bunch of us who did this haven't touched the site in the last 4 years. But the code is open, and the hope is that people will take it. So there's Transparent Chennai now, another organization in Chennai, who are actively, yeah, ChaloBest is in Bombay. ChaloBest is down. Their server was hacked. Yes, so the data we collected is in GitHub. The source code is there, along with the whole database of bus routes, bus stops. And this is also spinned off a lot of clone sites who basically just rip off our site, put ads, and show the same data. It's under Creative Commons. Yeah, it's all under Creative Commons. There's no copyright over any of this. So this might give you a good idea of how a normal citizen can actually act or do something. It's very difficult to do it alone. I could not have done anything alone. I could only do it because I could get relevant people to actually share my ideas and my dreams and motivate them to work.
Technical experts also can do something similar.
Oh yes, I'm not a technical expert. I've become a technical expert now because of doing this.
Why don't you get some people and do something for Hyderabad?
Oh yeah. That's the whole plan. The easiest thing is if you can hold a pen and use paper, you can create something like this analog. It doesn't have to be digital. And that can very easily be done. Okay, yeah, the whole idea is get people involved. It's very difficult to do it alone. And that's something, it's what our next exercise is going to be about, to actually work in a group and figure out solutions together.
At a lot of pockets of the city, buses are not traveling there. So we wanted to add to that by giving other modes of transport. So he contacted me, and he came up with a plan that we should collaboratively take data of share autos or share cabs that fly around Hyderabad. And we put it open. In less than 5 hours, we got 75 to 80 individual auto routes. And he's brought all this, aggregated all this data, and he's mapped it manually the same way that Arun has done. And in fact, I think continuing to that, adding to this session, we would be coming out with showing you what they have been doing and what else can be done to it. So I think this forum will actually bring out what has been done so far.
It was a little arbitrary, so I just chose 500 meters on both sides of the road, on a bus road. So it just seemed like an arbitrary walking distance. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. That's very useful. You mean something like this? Yeah. Okay. So this was something proposed to the Chennai Corporation. With the data we collected, we made this whole bus stop panel design multilingual with a transit map as well as bus route schedules. We made some headway with this, with the corporation being very interested, but then again, bureaucracy and many other things come into play. So, reach you need to go in the print form, and that's something. Yeah, but this again costs money, at least with the technology. Yeah, that was a pilot project which was run on certain routes. No, I don't think it's fully implemented. But also
Delhi DMITS is doing it very effectively for about 5,000 buses in about, I think, 400 routes or something.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Those things, again, is much more high-level technical thing. Print stuff is very low cost and basic. So that is at least the government should be focusing on. But for them, it's more important to make revenue off the display area than provide public information. And that is something which we need to fight and convince them of.
So you can always put another panel and put the information if they want to.
Yeah, so I don't run the government, so I will not comment on why it's not that way. But yeah, let's have Kaustubh here, who will give the next proceeding.
We did the first year that we started, but we've actually not done much transport stuff after that. And part of the reason we didn't do much of the transport stuff after we did it, I think I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I think it could help us to link data with action and technology with action and make some of those connections. And I just want to talk a little bit about that failure very, very briefly, which is that the information that I think, if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, so you can correct me, Arun. But basically, or Prabhu would know better. But MTC gave us, or the information on busroutes.in had come from a list from MTC, right? And that list basically had only the major bus stops, like the major bus depots. And all of these were about 2 kilometers apart. And in between, there was a bunch of stops. There would always be a lot of stops, but none of that information was actually provided by the government. And we tried to get it from MTC for individual routes, like we sent researchers to MTC, and what they would do is they would have it written in ledgers, and they would let us copy these in-between bus stops, right? I mean, but 2 kilometers is a really long distance between bus stops. So if you really wanted to use a bus routes map of the city, you would need that in-between information if you really wanted to make use of it, right? But in order to access that information, they made the process so difficult that we actually couldn't get further than what, what we were able to get from this original kind of initial information that they had released on their website. Then we tried another experiment, which was now MIT professors are calling it flock sourcing, which is that you actually get groups of people to try and pick up information. So rather than trying to get it crowdsourced, you actually get teams of people to collect this information for you. So then we had interns mostly from Stella Maris in Chennai, ride the bus and record bus routes, these internal bus stops between the 2 kilometer main depots using a GPS unit. And they did this for about, how many routes, Prabhu? Maybe like 100? Yeah, for 120 routes we had done this. But it ended up being such an incredibly laborious process that we couldn't continue the work anymore without kind of moving away from the core of the work that we're doing, which is largely creating information that relates to issues of access to water and sanitation and things like that. But I think the bigger issue that came out of this here, which we didn't address on the transport issue, is that I think even when citizens do get together and we use technology and do put together things, we do come up against these gaps where the government really does need to step in and like provide this information. And here was a case where I felt like a lot of people came together, did a lot of great work, and even now, there's not a great bus routes map of Chennai, unfortunately. That's like really, really usable. And I think maybe the Google one is the best that's available now. Preeti, I think you use that one a lot, right? Yeah, but I think it's kind of it's a story of like what we can accomplish as citizens coming together, but also the limitations of what we can accomplish as citizens coming together.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's one of the reasons why we could not continue on with this further. So the problem she's referring to is, in a way, how the bus systems are run in this country, that they only document the stage on the route, which is how they calculate the fare. So no bus agency in India has details of stops on each route. They'll have each stage. Oh yeah, they don't have a central place. Yeah, you need to go to each depot and timekeeper. Yeah, it's a huge manual effort. But if coordinated, till now I haven't seen any of the bus agencies being able to provide this sort of detail.
I just had a question here. So I'm not a typical Hyderabadi. I come from Bangalore. So I was just listening to all your talks right here. So I believe that I just did some study on Wikipedia and other articles that Bangalore, the transport system run by BMTC is the most profitable in the country right now. And I don't know if people realize that the entire system is still by government, and the website is done by the government, and it has all the road plans, it has the fares between bus stops, it has the road maps, the planners, the timings, all integrated into the website. And also the buses from the airport, you have an Android app where you can actually see where you can get the bus at what time you want. So I still think there's a model in the country where actually which is sustainable, which is still working. So seeing this project, I just think that there's a need for people to actually work with the government or the authorities. For example, the BMTC has been doing it with some companies. So it's quite sustainable if you try to do it with some agency instead of doing it individually to actually sustain it over a long time. So it's just my observation, that's it.
That is true. To enlarge it,
Yeah, till date, even the MTC website does not have any route maps. And they told us that why don't we go to the people who run their site and tell them how to do the same thing on theirs. We don't have the resources to actually go and teach them. Right. So we could manage till how much resources we had. We were not paid for any of this. We had no reason to do it. Thank you. So that was the whole idea, that we can do stuff. The technology, the tools are available to all of us. And if we want to try, we can attempt to fix things. We don't necessarily have to be successful. But even failing is a big learning.
I think you can familiarize with those tools, maybe some training you can give us?
Yes. We were planning to give a very basic training thing today, but since it was post-lunch and we were not sure if everyone would have laptops or machines, we are thinking of doing it tomorrow. So the idea is there is one session which can be planned, which is a hands-on mapping workshop, where we can learn how to actually digitize or georeference some sort of data. You want to map trees, or you want to map any sort of information and make a map out of it, how that can be done and how to take that forward. So that is one workshop that can be done, as well as anything else that comes out of the discussions which happen right now. So we can form groups, and details will be given by Kaustubh.
I just want to quickly make an intervention while this discussion will go any further. And I want to make this intervention because I just remembered that for the last year and a half, we've been really working on one particular railway system in Hyderabad. We call it the Nalayak railway system. Right? We call it the Nalayak railway system because we believe that in Hyderabad, where you have a very large number of water bodies and a very large number of nalas that connect them, actually have a huge amount of land on which you can put a very simple Indian railway system, standard Indian railway systems gauge railway routes, and you can go from the one end of the city to the other end to all sorts of picnic spots, because all of those nalas connect to water bodies, right? The issue is very simple, and I agree with Dunu on that information technology, or any other technology for that matter, has to do with politics, in the sense that we have to have metro in this city because the European Union has standard gauge. We can't have the Indian railway system be doing that same railway routes. I mean, Hyderabad city has had a very simple suburban railway system which served the city very, very well for a very long time. We have had dreams of building any number of railway systems in this city. We have dumped all of them. Suddenly, we are building an extremely expensive metro rail in this city, right? And the technology has to do with politics. The fact that we have forgotten all of those railway routes is also about politics. And for me, the whole idea of OpenStreetMap or any other mapping technology is that we can actually pull back some of those things which have been erased. How do you get something which is buried in a map that was made in the 1980s and buried in some plan where you only have a list of railway stations? How do you reconstruct that map? We need the technology for that. The Survey of India is not going to do it. It's only when we build that map that we can actually enable a new imagination, right? So one of the persons who's been working with me for the last 8 months, all that he has been doing is to try and reconstruct the forgotten roots of Hyderabad, the buried roots of Hyderabad, right? And that's why we call it the Nalayak, because it's such a Nalayak thing to do, right? I mean, Nalayak in Hindi means that the useless thing, because nobody cares for it. It is. I think that it will be a very powerful thing if we can actually build a good map. And that's the key thing. How do we build that map so that we can trigger those imaginations? How do we make a map that looks good, can actually communicate something? And I think that people who work on OpenStreetMap or any other map are, at some level, aware of those politics. They might not be talking about it in the same language as everybody else is speaking, but I do think that they are aware of that, and we should just leave it at that for now. Yep, you want to take over?
No, if they want to, I can take an OpenStreetMap sort of to.
Exercise right now and walk through it?
I can, but that is if.
What do you people want to do?
Round of introductions for the three people who are sitting here, and Arun already introduced himself. So you have a background of the kind of skills and expertise we bring to this hall right now. And then we can have a quick discussion about what we want to do next. We have some ideas. We wanted to do things slightly different to what we've been doing all day, get you guys moving a little bit, get together in groups and have some conversations amongst each other, and think through a few questions which we thought would be a good starting point. But there's some really interesting questions that have come out of this room in the last half hour or so. So we can continue the discussion, and we have all day tomorrow to actually do something concrete and workshop things and continue the dialogue. My name is Kaustubh Shrikant. I work for an organization called Tactical Technology Collective. We are an international NGO, and we primarily work with how we can use data, design, and technology more effectively to create progressive social change. I do a lot of work around evidence-based, well, as an organization, we do a lot of work around evidence-based campaigning, using a lot of visual elements in advocacy, some of which I'm going to be talking about tomorrow morning. I'm just going to pass the mic to Riju, Sumandro, and Sajad so they can introduce themselves.
Thanks, Kaustubh. My name is Sumandro Chattopadhyay. My nickname is Riju, so please call me Riju. It's much comfortable for everybody, I think. I work with the Sarai program in CSDS. I also work with HasGeek, which is a Bangalore-based organization. I'm trained in economics, but I mostly I used to work around urban development issues. I work mostly on technology policy these days, e-governance, IT, and data policy, government data policy, internet policy to some extent. My interest runs across how government produces data, what government does with data, what apparatuses government uses to produce data, what such technologies and procedures mean for citizenship. I also am interested in data visualization, some amount of mapping, participatory mapping, hand-drawn maps, to a bit of web-based maps. And we'll talk more about, so we have a small section on brief presentations tomorrow morning, and I'll talk about politics and mapping. And I hope we can go back to some of the questions raised by Dunu as well as Anant earlier. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Sajjad. I mostly work with organizations helping them set up their technology infrastructure, how to manage their data, how do they collect information, how do they store, lots of workflows, things like that. Right now I work for a nonprofit called the Akshara Foundation based in Bangalore. We do a lot of work in schools around Karnataka. I also work with a bunch of people in Congo building some sort of a maps platform for monitoring forests. So it's between technology, maps, visualizations, more like infrastructure and things like that. So yeah.
I just wanted to add something to this as to why we have a lineup like this at this point of time and what we're going to be doing tomorrow. One of the reasons why we in Dodin thought that it will be important to put a group like this together and then work through some of these questions is because, as I was saying, for the last 6-7 months, we started working on mapping transportation in Hyderabad, right? Now, the whole thing started with an engineering college student who has just graduated wanting to experiment and try and build a mobile application that can inform people about when the next bus is going to arrive, right? And then we figured that actually there's no way we can find out when the next bus is going to arrive because the technology and the information that is available is not something that allows that. Second, it's also very problematic to assume that everybody has a smartphone that can access that kind of information. And then what we started doing was to try and figure out what exactly do we know about the bus transit system in Hyderabad. And then when we started putting that together, we found that the government actually has published frequency tables. You know, they tell you every 10 minutes there'll be a bus on this route during peak hours, during off-peak hours, so on and so forth, right? So what we did was to take the routes, and then digitize all of it and georeference it. What that basically does is to give you a dynamic map of the city and tells you what are the routes on which the buses are moving at high frequency at particular times during the day. Now, once this map was made, we discovered two very interesting things, and those discoveries happened only after this map was made. Right? First discovery was that there is a large stretches of the city which are just not covered by bus transit. If you have areas, large sectors of the city which are not covered by bus transit, then what's happening there? That space is occupied by rickshaws or some other form of transit. And then the one thing that struck us was that maybe there are actually shared auto rickshaw routes. And we knew about 15 or 20 shared auto rickshaw routes. We didn't know more than that. So we made a list of all of them, put them out on Facebook, and said, if you guys know any more, please report back. And in the next 8 hours, we found that there was something like 96 shared auto rickshaw routes in Hyderabad city. Right? There could be many more, we don't know, but that many we knew. Now that then led to a very interesting question, which is that who are the people who are using this shared auto rickshaw transit? And it turns out that a lot of people who are working at the lower end of the economy, people who are working in hospitals as ayas, paramedics, nurses, right? People who keep odd hours, people who cannot afford housing in the central part of the city because the rents are too high, people who have to walk, then get a share auto rickshaw, and then get a bus, and then walk again to reach their workplace at very, very odd hours. Now you have a very large female population in this city who are young or who could be middle-aged, who are having to depend on transit that is not regulated, and they are actually taking a lot of risk in that process. Now you could pose this as a question of, we have to discipline the auto rickshaw drivers. Or you could say that, no, it's a class question, women should be staying at home. What do we do? How do we resolve this? And it struck us then that maybe the problem here is that the map that we have of bus transit and the frequencies is a very masculine map. It's a map that we don't recognize as a masculine map because that's our normative vision. That's how we understand things, right? But it's a map that works for men with office jobs. It's a city that doesn't work for people who don't have office jobs and who are not men. For those women, for those young people, for those older people, for those children who don't fall into that particular category of people who can access that to make their livelihoods, this is an extremely brutal city. Then the question is this: how do we make a map from the perspective of a woman who is a paramedic, lives in Balanagar and has to come to Somajiguda in the center part of the city? Right? Can we actually design a different kind of map? Or can we make a dynamic mapping system wherein actually we can do an audit of bus access? How many people in this city are having to work extra hours? How many people are spending more than 20% of their income on traveling back and forth? What is their total income? How do we get these numbers? How much extra work are people having to do just to be safe so that they can work and bring some money back home? All these things are related to data, policy, so on and so forth, and they can't be done without some sort of mapping technology, some sort of crowdsourcing, some sort of new technologies and visualizations. Now, we really don't know how to do all of this. So what we thought is that since everybody is experimenting, let's try and put together people who can think through all these issues.